I've been homeless. I've been hungry. Many years ago, when I was living in Israel, I was homeless for about 3 months. Not the kind of homeless where you live in a cardboard box on the street, another kind of insidious form of homelessness, a very common form of homelessness. The kind of homelessness where you couch surf, or you hope someone takes you home from the bar, or you hope that you can break in somewhere or sneak in somewhere. I said I was hungry. I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. And so I became intimately familiar with food insecurity, or the anxiety that comes from not knowing where your next meal is going to come from. When I was a case manager, a lot of my colleagues and I were experiencing problems connecting our clients to local food pantries. And it wasn't the pantry's fault. The pantry is when they connect to food banks, which are higher than food pantries, all of a sudden have to follow a lot of rules imposed on them by the USDA, by the FDA, by federal regulations, state regulations, local regulations. And so all of a sudden, what should be a very simple, basic, maybe radical concept, feed the hungry, becomes incredibly complicated. Folks need ID, they need documentation, they have to be from in-state, they have to be within their county, a certain distance from their homes. They can only go on certain days of the week. Maybe it's not open on weekends. Maybe they have 3 jobs and they're just not being paid enough. And I started to think about my own struggles when I was homeless, trying to get food and work within the system and make sure that I had the right amount of paperwork. And I expanded my thought process to think about those who were disabled or are disabled, or those who might have 3 children, or those who are elderly, or may not have an easy route to get from their house to the food pantry. Because maybe while it's really close if you have a car, it might be an 8-hour bus drive. And what if you have 2 kids that you have to take along? Those are 2 extra bus fares. And I thought about how poor I've been, and sometimes I'm still that poor, and I don't have that kind of bus fare. And being a postmodern, solutions-focused, soon-to-be graduate master social worker, I wanted to do something about it. And so I thought, okay, well, am I going to write my senator? It didn't really seem pragmatic, didn't really seem like it was going to do a whole lot. Thought about a Facebook poll, probably also not something that's going to change the world overnight or provide solutions for my clients. And I thought back to my training, and I determined that the only way I was going to change someone else's behavior was by changing my own. And so with some friends, we decided to open our own food pantry and not connect to local food banks. And I'm very thankful that all of the initial food gnomes are here in the audience tonight. So for those of you who don't know, Food Gnomes is Western New York's one question asked mobile food pantry. And our only question is, are you hungry? And if the answer is yes, we feed you. It's a very radical concept. What makes us very special, though, is we don't have a bank account. We don't accept any kind of financial contributions. And what happened is we had this idea, okay? I pitched it to my friends. I said, all right, let's make a mobile food pantry. We're going to do this. And they all went, all right, let's go do this. And all right, we have an idea. And then I realized that I have no money. I'm a graduate student. How are we going to start a 501c3? And fortunately, the answer came to us from our friends at the IRS, because they can be friendly. And it turns out that if you're not bringing in more than $5,000, you're an unincorporated not-for-profit, and you don't have to file paperwork. And I said, great, we're not raising any money, so we don't have to file any paperwork, but we can be a thing, and that's wonderful. And so all of a sudden we had volunteers, we had some kind of business structure that the IRS said was cool, and then we went out to the community and we found this incredible church to house our food pantry for free, and we found 2 other people in West Seneca who donated their basement. So all of a sudden we had volunteers, we had a location, we had an idea, we had a concept, we had a business form, and then I realized that I had no idea how to run a food pantry at all. Slightly problematic. Fortunately, the UB School of Social Work provided the answer. At the UB School of Social Work, to my understanding, it's the only school in the United States, perhaps the entire world, where we have a trauma-informed human rights perspective built into every single course in our program. And that's really special. So a trauma-informed approach means that we recognize the inherent inequalities that exist when clients are trying to interact with the social services systems, and we try to mitigate them. what it also means is we recognize that when clients are seeking services or they're coming to us for help, they generally have experienced some kind of trauma in their life, whether it was like my trauma, where I was homeless and had food insecurity, or if it's a domestic violence survivor who had to flee their abuser, and maybe they weren't able to grab snacks, and all of a sudden they're trying to figure out what they're going to do next, and they have children to feed, and they may need some formula, or whatever traumas might have gone on in someone's life. And so we recognize that anyone who might need services has probably been through something. And we have a lot of foundational principles that help us understand our clients. But probably one of the most important things is that we recognize that our clients are the experts on themselves and their own lives. So I realized that while I may not know how to run a food pantry, let alone a mobile one, my clients, the clients that we wanted to serve, probably had a really good idea of how they wanted a mobile food pantry run. They probably had a very good idea of how they wanted to be treated. They probably had a great idea of what they wanted to see in a mobile food pantry. And so we collaborated with them. We asked them, hey, what do you want? And they told us, and we've changed our model 15, 20, 25 times based on that kind of feedback. Now, does it mean that we've gotten every single thing right? Absolutely not. We have made tons of mistakes, and we've learned from them. But they've been incredible learning experiences. And part of our Food Gnome philosophy is we do the best we can. And that's really important, because if we took this all-or-nothing approach and we said, okay, we're only going to go out once everything's perfect, we'd feed no one. On any given weekend, when we go out into the community, we can feed upwards of 50 to 60 families with no financial contributions, based entirely on donations with the model that we've created. But some weekends, we may only be able to feed 5 families, and we don't view that as a loss because we fed 5 families who otherwise might not have been fed if we took this all-or-nothing, black or white approach. And so we like to learn from our clients, we like to learn from these experiences, because all or nothing is the killer of great ideas and incredible dreams. And when we were trying to come up with our general philosophy, I look back to my own faith. I'm Jewish, I exist and live in the Jewish community here in Buffalo, and my faith has a principle called Tikkun Olam. And Tikkun Olam means the repairing of the world. And that doesn't mean that you do it with one grandiose act in your life or with billions of dollars. What Tikkun Olam means is that you conduct millions, if not billions, of individual micro-acts every single day of your life in the hopes that you leave whatever place you're in slightly better than when you found it. Right now, I'm finishing my clinical field placement at Buffalo State College Counseling Center. And before I close tonight, I want to share with you something that I learned there. My mentors there have been incredible, and one of the things that they've taught me is to never let a client leave without having something tangible in their hands. So tonight, here at TEDxBuffalo, we're launching something, an international initiative. So we'd like you to leave with something tangible. First, we're providing you with something called gnomesnet.org. So we're inviting you to become your own gnome, to start your own gnome cell, nationally, internationally, locally, and we're providing you with our entire training manual. We're also providing you with an opportunity to connect with gnomes throughout the United States and throughout the world. For those who are here in Buffalo, we're also providing you with something special, gnomesguide.org. Currently at 61 pages, it contains almost every single social service provider and program here in Western New York. So whether you're a doctor, a nurse, a community health worker, a frontline worker, or someone who just has a friend in need, whether it's looking for a clothing closet, job resources, a domestic violence shelter, or counseling, you'll be able to find it there. And what's special is that you yourselves can update it in real time, and you don't need any help from us. You don't need to create a login. All you have to do is tap it with your phone, and our team of editors will check whatever you're sending to us, and within 24 hours, it will go live. So in closing, whether your gnome cell is giving out glasses, helping repair clothing, connecting lonely people with new friends, whether your gnome cell is providing food or something totally creative that none of us have ever thought of yet, I invite you to be gnome-like, to be positively mischievous. I invite you to tear down walls and to build longer tables and to go out and to change the world. Buffalo, thank you so much. It has been an honor and a pleasure. Good night.